Well, first of all, I would like to say rest in peace to Freddie Mercury. Passed away on November 24th, 1991. And it was pretty odd to look at his Wikipedia and see that he passed basically a day before Thanksgiving. What was odder is I actually looked it up today and had no clue what I was in store for. But anyway, the man's voice is simply addictive. No pun intended. You can't choose a song, they're all great. When I was a kid, my dad had mentioned Queen at a Best Buy, and he told me that I should buy the Greatest Hits album. I'm recording, so I don't talk. And after that, I never got over it. It was just instantly inspired. I'm instantly an idol of these guys. I get extremely annoyed when I have no cigarettes. And Freddie Mercury, after hearing the Greatest Hits album, I was sold. 100%. There was no selling me. It was just instant inspiration. One of those bands where you're like, wow, they made that song? Wow, they made this song too? Wow, they made this song too? Just top 10, top 5 hits, through every record. Now, they say it's not what you know, it's who you know. Yeah, um, I suppose these guys wouldn't have done anything had they all done solo projects and never got together. I believe in that aspect, it is who you know. But Freddie Mercury, from his inception, seemed just like larger than life, like he was going to go somewhere, you know? He just had this glimmer in his eye that he was going somewhere. He had a dream and he was going to follow it. His name's Farak Bulsara, aka Freddie Mercury. He certainly was more of an actor, showman, uh, than musician. However, he's the greatest singer I've ever heard. Greatest, for lack of a better term, soprano singer. Falsetto? Is it falsetto? I'm not sure. I don't get that in depth with singing. I'm more of a writer, philosopher, rap artist. I work with wordplay, try to make words rhyme. But one of my earliest inspirations is Queen. Queen is just one of those timeless bands that can make any genre of music. They can inspire anybody of any race. And that was what really grasped my attention, was that they could basically make rap music and people are going to listen to it, or they can make disco music and people are going to listen to it, or R&B, or whatever, country music. They can make country music and people are going to listen to it. They've re-recorded Elvis. if they weren't from the 70s and 80s, they'd be recording all this new stuff. Adele, you know, Eminem, all these new people. Queen would be. That was also one of Freddie's strong points, was that he could mimic. If he didn't feel like writing, doing his own song, he could certainly cover a song supremely well. Supreme. You know, just knock it right out of the park. Am I bolstering him a little bit? Maybe. Maybe. But when you have a presentation like that, come on, man. When you've worked so hard like that, and they've done so many shows, you're past the Mickey Mouse bullshit games, asking questions. Are these guys good or not? Are these guys gonna last or not? They played so many shows. They proved themselves so many times. The band Queen, you know, in in bars and shitty little venues. They did so much of that. It was almost like by the time they did get to an arena or a stadium, they are masters of their craft. There was no questioning these guys, you know. And a showman like Freddie, he was just magnetic. He could just pull you right in, make you love him. I wrote it a few times on some of these comments that he was somebody that I would probably have gone up to if I was in his generation and I was like a young singer. I probably would have went up to Freddie and been like, you know, hey, what should I do, man? I need some help. This is really hard. Can you help me? And Freddie was the type of dude that, yeah, he would totally help you. Like, he was just that, he had that energy. He had that type of energy. And I think another thing about Freddie Mercury was he came around during like the AIDS epidemic. Yet he was so brave being an immigrant, as an English immigrant, going to the States. During the AIDS pandemic was kind of like this whole COVID thing. And he was just so brave to run the streets and talk to people and be a man of the people, that was kind of like what was inspirational. His socialist, or not socialist, but socializing. He was like a social butterfly. He was able to talk to anybody. When you're in a time like that, the AIDS pandemic, it's kind of like, it wasn't even a pandemic, it was an epidemic. It wasn't as blown up as it is today. Are you trying to tell me COVID's worse than AIDS? Please. And back then it was scary because there wasn't a lot of technology. There was no cameras, and there was no like people being interviewed constantly about the same topic. Tony Fauci being interviewed 10 times. There was none of this, you know, beating the subject into the ground using the media. For the most part, people tended to be sort of disconnected from media in the 80s until they connected to the media. Nowadays, you're kind of forced. You get notifications that you don't even sign up for. Somehow you're getting breaking news that you don't even sign up for. I mean, you know. But I just wanted to share my condolences to Freddie Mercury and his family and his estate, and to Queen, the band themselves. I know it's all about Freddie for me as a fan, but those guys were just as imperative as him, and he would tell you that he couldn't do it without his band. He couldn't do it without the boys, you know. It's amazing that Freddie didn't do a solo project until he was old, like 42, 43, I think. So he was a very loyal lead singer, and he loved his boys. He loved his boys, man. His band members, he loved them. You do anything for those guys. That's the type of singer you got to be. To be successful, you have to be loyal. You really do. You have to have some degree of honor. I think it's funny, all these people that have like no honor and they have no backbone, they try to talk about people like Freddie Mercury, or they try to talk about people like that are super ultra famous, try to compare themselves to these people. And they're not like me. They're not honorable. They're not trustworthy or truthful. They're not honest. So why are they talking about honest people like Lane Staley and stuff like that? There just tends to be some disconnect in the musical industry that if you don't have it, if you don't have the looks, if you don't have the swagger, then you can't go anywhere. Trust me. Trust me. You stand in front of the mirror long enough, put enough makeup on, could be anything you want to be. You have a dream, follow it. Trust me. Freddie Mercury tell you straight from the horse's mouth. Most days he probably felt like shit. Didn't want to do it. Didn't want to get up in the morning and perform. But he had the inspiration too. He had that fire too. That fire is sort of like, you can spread it like a vibe, like an energy. When Freddie had that fire, you feel that fire too, on stage or just watching him. Those are the types of artists that I like. I do not like dishonest fakery. Ugh, there's nothing worse than having to unravel an artist's humanity through interviews, through movies. Fuck, just be real through your music. Why do I have to guess who you are? Why can't I just hear it through a song? Please, use the music as a emotional force. Don't try to talk about shit that doesn't even exist in your life. Please. There's nothing worse than that. Anyway, definitely rest in peace to Freddie Mercury. He was a great man. Beautiful man. Ugh, just an amazing man. I love Freddie Mercury. And I wish I was just like him, honestly. I really do. He was awesome. He was so awesome during the 80s, in a time that was just so cool. In a time that was just like, my God, how hard was it to be cool? It was like so super hard. And here goes the guy that nobody thought was gonna make or break music, and here he is making or breaking music. Here he is, like probably one of the most important figures in music history. Did he anticipate that? Did the world anticipate that? No, probably not. Because he's not American. Who gives a shit? If it was a Chinese guy and he was inspiring us, what's the difference? If he's able to relay a message to us in our language, then what does it matter what race he is? If he's inspiring us, fuck it. Listen to the music. Hey. But I'm going to end the subject there. It's about a 15-minute long video. definitely go listen to some Queen. Definitely go. They're worth it. Their music is timeless. You'll never have a better four-piece band than Queen. I'm telling you that right now. I like them more than Alice in Chains. Big time. No offense. But they're just not even comparable. So hit them up.